From wherever in the world you're watching, welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm Becca, and today marks the launch of our brand new series, ImaginEARing Icons, where we celebrate the visionary artists who brought our beloved Disney parks to life. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce my fellow wafflers. Robin. Hiya. Peter.
Hello.
Jill.
Hi.
John.
Hi, Becca. Thank goodness it's February. That's all I'm saying. It's been the longest January on record, I think, So
It has.
Yeah. So
894 days and counting.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. It's a step in the right direction. This is the only way I'm going to describe it.
As you just heard, Ben's with us.
Hello, everybody.
And save the best for last as always. Hey, Claire.
I thought you were going to say something else. I know. John stole my comment. I was going to say, thank goodness it's February.
I'm so glad you used the word goodness.
Alliteration this early in the podcast wouldn't work.
I know. I
usually sit where Ben said things. This was really odd.
This was really weird.
Strange.
Yeah. It feels odd.
Yeah. Right. Maybe flip the picture. Can you reverse it or something?
Still feels odd.
It feels weird. So
I'm not used to watching this button screen.
If during the show
it's like Ant and Dec,
we swap sides,
which is which?
And the best thing of all, if you listen to the podcast of which
you're not going to have a clue.
You don't really care.
So that's a good reminder for anyone listening to the podcast to come over to YouTube and you can see what we're laughing about.
Yeah. What happens when someone sits in the other seat? Yeah, we are that exciting.
Is it like it's like being in the old working man's pub? You go and sit in someone else's seat.
Oh my word! Oh goodness! That is something you wouldn't even get.
Serious, dangerous game.
You'd get stopped at the front. Stopped at the front door on your next visit. Oh no! We don't like troublemakers like you. That's it. You sit in some.
Do you know what, John?
You sat in someone's seat last time. Yeah,
John, you're the troublemaker. That's just like Claire.
I was going to say Claire used to do that.
I'll tell you what. I've sung in some choral societies that are like that as well. And someone's seat. Ooh, dangerous game to sit.
Oh no. It's what a weird. Yeah. I'm not going to go there because
does that mean we have to call them Becca and Ben tonight rather than Ben and Becca?
Hey, that's a thought. That's a thought. Oh,
because we never do that either.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the day for upside downs and inside out.
It doesn't mean I have to tell people how old we are when someone makes a statement.
You have to be the one poking fun at everyone's ages today.
This has all gone downhill before we even start.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was going to say, despite the fact that Becca actually, if you're going alphabetically, should always be before Ben. But hey ho, that's another OCD thing that we might not get.
Unless we're going for full names, in which case
we don't mention it on the podcast.
So today's spotlight shines on a maestro of immersive worlds, a champion of conservation and a master storyteller, none other than Joe Rohde. From crafting the icy charm of Norway to breathing new life into the Adventurers Club, from unleashing the thrills of Animal Kingdom to weaving Hawaiian magic into Alani, Joe's fingerprints are on countless Disney memories. So get ready to dive deep into his creative journey, one masterpiece at a time.
Joe Rohde, a true visionary, has left an indelible mark on the Disney theme parks. His journey began over 4 decades ago, and since then, he has brought unparalleled creativity and passion to his work. As a lead designer and executive, Rohde has been the driving force behind some of Disney's most iconic lands and attractions. Joe Rohde was born in Sacramento on the 10th of September 1955. He spent much of his childhood in Hawaii and graduated from Chaminade College Prep School in 1973. Joe started at the Walt Disney Company in 1980. His original role was a model designer at Epcot. He worked as a sculptor at the Mexico Pavilion and also as a designer for the Norway Pavilion. In 1983, Rohde worked on the refurbishment of the Fantasyland area of Disneyland. He went back to Florida in the mid-80s, serving as a character developer for the Captain EO attraction that debuted in 1986. His first foray into world building and immersive design began with the development of the much-missed Adventurers Club, a deeply themed nightclub located in the Pleasure Island of downtown Disney. The club featured a live cast of adventurers who performed shows, mingled with guests along with animatronics and puppets. Perhaps his biggest accomplishment was the creation of Disney's Animal Kingdom. His commitment to authenticity and cultural respect is evident in every corner of the park, from the mystical Pandora of the world of Avatar to the breathtaking Expedition Everest. Rohde's dedication to storytelling is second to none, seamlessly weaving narratives that captivate visitors to transport them to other worlds. Beyond the parks, Joe Rohde has been a tireless advocate for environmental and cultural conservation. His projects often reflect a deep respect for the planet and its diverse cultures, fostering a sense of connection and understanding among guests. His influence extends far beyond his design prowess. His distinctive personal style, adorned with eclectic earrings and a signature hat, has become a symbol of creativity and individuality within the Disney community. He inspires others to embrace their unique personality, their perspectives, and bring their authentic selves to their work. In an industry driven by innovation, Joe Rohde's willingness to push boundaries has set a standard for excellence. His commitment to storytelling, cultural sensitivity, and environmental stewardship has elevated the Disney experience to new heights. As we celebrate the legacy of this ImaginEARing luminary, let us reflect on the magic he has woven into our favourite memories and appreciate the lasting impact he has had on the world of entertainment. Thank you, Joe Rohde, for sharing your boundless imagination and for leaving a legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you, Joe Rohde, for sharing your boundless imagination and for leaving a legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come.
I just think this is just the most amazing opportunity to basically follow on from our Disney segment that we did last year, aiming towards the Disney 100. And also when we asked the question in our Facebook community about what you guys would like, you people who are listening, what you wanted from the show. And the feedback we got from that questionnaire was a little bit of Disney history. Now, we took a little bit of a waffle slant on that, and we thought, how could we do that without taking you through every ride, every show by show? So what we've decided is we're going to look at Imagineers, and what better one to start with, and actually, I think we actually thought what a show it would be is if we did for February just one show about Joe Rohde, because I think a lot of people who listen have already picked up on the fact that there's an awful lot of complete respect and love for the guy from all of us. Each month it goes on, it won't be the whole show, so we will have other segments that prop up, but this show, I think it's just a little bit of reverence, a little bit of credit where it's due, because this guy actually is just the most amazing character. And just I actually think, Ben, what we're going to go on and talk about, I think you've scratched the surface. I think what we are going to pick up on is just his influence on so much.
I'm so glad we've got the whole show to talk about this, because I'm not sure how we can just talk about Joe Rohde and doing everything that he's done justice in 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Would not be possible.
No, absolutely not.
We could talk about one attraction for longer than that, I think, tonight. So very much.
Yeah. We have, in past shows and past lives, when talking about things like Animal Kingdom and Expedition Everest, we have gone into detail about how much we all love Joe Rohde for his amazing attention to detail and his cultural, or his ability to bring out the best of cultures into his work.
His authenticity, I think, is the word.
That's the word I'm looking for, Claire. Yes.
I was just going to say, Ben, before we get into a conversation, can I just ask that in the show notes and on our Facebook page after this episode's been shared on the today, that we just tag Joe Rohde's Instagram, because if anyone isn't following Joe Rohde on Instagram, you need to go and do it.
Yeah,
because he shares the most incredible posts and all sorts of stories and things that he's doing, things he's done in the past. So, and it's really quite inspirational when you look at things like the attention to detail, the authenticity of everything that he does. It's hugely interesting and very educational also.
Yeah.
So if you can make sure we tag him in, and so everyone can go follow him on Instagram.
But Claire, fits perfectly in with Disney. That education side of it, because especially when you think of Epcot, it's always been that edutainment, which and
parts of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah,
I didn't realise he was that involved with Epcot, to be honest with you. I think I probably recognised his role with Animal Kingdom as a, that's the story of him bringing the tiger into the meeting room is the thing that a lot of people have heard about him. But tell me about the Epcot thing, because I didn't realise he was involved in Norway and Mexico, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
no, me neither.
No, it was one of those things you just don't think about something that early on. But someone's got to have a point into where they start the company. But being part of what was it, in both Norway and
Mexico.
Yeah.
But now you've said it, I can see it.
Especially how a lot of parts of Mexico, and it was a sculptor in Mexico. So when you think of, I'm trying to think,
lines of the main pavilion building,
but also the immersiveness of that pavilion. If you think about
same thing,
World Showcase, and you say to people, which is your favourite pavilion? A lot of people will say Mexico. And the reason for that is because you go inside and you feel like you're outside inside. The immersiveness of the theming, the whole just atmosphere of that pavilion as you are walking past, but also when you enter inside. Let's not think about necessarily the marketplace and the attraction and all of the restaurant. Just the whole, almost TARDIS-like building.
And the use of colour as well, Claire. I think that's something, when you look back, his actual degree itself was in fine arts. And to actually move from that degree bit into what appears to be your first proper Disney job, and you turn up and you're actually given that little insight into just a little spark of creativity. If we go back, was it 1980? We are actually talking about times when you're talking about Epcot as just on the cusp of opening, and you forget, just in the bigger scheme of time, how instrumental somebody has been through his whole Disney journey. And I think we'll probably talk about Disney journeys in the mid-month show, but his Disney journey, when you start with a job like that, and to be able to put your stamp on things so quickly and in the opening of a brand new theme park, it must be, I think for him, must be something that you think, well, I'm trying not to jump towards the end. What I'm trying to think of is the fact that from the outset, when you've got a touch of class about you in your attention to just everything that you do, it's recognised. And I think that for me is something that, we'll probably all go to Epcot in the future, and you'll start looking at things in a different way. Certainly in Mexico, I feel, and you'll be thinking, all right, okay, you can see why Joe Rohde was involved in that. You can see you won't in Norway, given how much so much of Norway has been reimagined itself with the Frozen ride going in there. But wouldn't it be good to just sit down with him and just ask him, right? So which bit was yours? Which bit of that whole pavilion were you given? What was your bit? What was the bit that he told you to get your finger out? We need this finishing because we've got a theme park that needs sorting out. And it's, and for him, it's probably lost in the midst of times,
Have you just promoted Joe Rohde to a dinner party guest, John? I know that many moons ago, we had a conversation about
I think it would be beyond that, because actually, I'm trying my best not to jump in with 2 feet too early into the whole sort of. I become that. It's a bit of like a fanboy sort of stuff, where you see somebody, and I would love just 5 minutes to just turn around to this guy and just say, just thank you, because he sees things in a completely different way. Yet, I think you kind of touched on it in the outset of the show. He sees things in the way that Walt saw them, and that attention to detail, that way that people perceive you as a company, or you as a brand, or you as a theme park, you as an individual World Showcase pavilion. He saw that from a very, very early age, and actually his attention to his job was he kept the bar at the highest level, and I think that for me is something I know I've got something I really want to share towards the end of the show, but that comes from his very first outset, and that takes a lot, because I think for all of us, all of us here, I might be speaking out of turn, but maybe some people who are listening to the show, when you start off in any career, that you're the new kid on the block. You're the one who can come in and make mistakes and things like that. And you can get away. You get away with murder as well, because actually I'm the new boy. But actually, he kind of came in and just like completely rewrote exactly what was going on. And I would love to have been his boss, because actually he would have been the most amazing person, because he would have just. Could you imagine just that ball of complete enthusiasm and just, I want to do this. And you're like, come on then. Come on.
I bet he was a nightmare to manage.
I would have liked to work alongside him and not
all the best creative.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I just have this, I was going to ask this question later on, but I'm gonna state it now. I suspect that perhaps he was someone who asked forgiveness, not permission. I hope that was absolutely his approach.
He's a maverick.
I think you're right, John.
I love that whole maverick sort of bit. If there's a rule to say you can't, it's a rule that says you can't do something. He sought to find the exception to the rule to try and make sure it got done
in everything.
And I like that, because that's the way I live my life. And actually, this is I hate personalizing stuff in the show. His actual birthday is the same as mine, and I can actually understand where he comes from.
You're going to be 70 next year.
Yeah, it's not the same year. Behave.
Same year.
It's the same day. Goodness. I also, but I can understand as a Virgo and as someone September the 10th. I have that same bit of being a maverick, being an absolute pain in the backside to other people who think that they know better. And I know where this guy's coming from. This is why it's such a good thing. I've got a connection. I've got a spiritual connection with Joe Rohde. That's all I'm saying on the matter.
Well, at least now we all know what John's birthday is. If anyone needs to
Yeah,
remind them.
exactly. Yeah, just put it
But
in your
not
phones, guys.
1955.
No.
If John accidentally gets a 70th birthday card next year, you'll know why.
It's all right.
Or gets his ear pierced, right?
Oh,
We
don't
need
go
to
on that one. I used to have my ear pierced when I was younger, and I've not ever. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should
Think
just
keep it going.
Yeah, maybe I should. I missed that chance there, didn't I? Like, yeah. I was going to say, I saw Sting on was it the Wogan show back in the day with your man from the Rainforest Group?
Let's go back a bit.
Yeah.
You know who Terry Wogan is, Becca?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not that young.
Claire, that's progress.
That's the first reference that we've come up with that Becca does know.
Well, that's okay, because I was going to say earrings back in John's day were all the fashion for men.
Yeah.
My dad's had one.
Thing is now, Becca, it's now noses and all kinds of other things and things like that, you know. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be offended by you. That's fine. Anyway,
John,
this is what's happened when we had 900 days of January.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
This is what it does to you.
Stir crazy.
John, the 80s was a decade of style.
The 1880s.
I'm not sure, Peter. I'm not sure, Peter.
Style.
It was style.
It was style.
Smart suit. Yeah.
Do you have a smart suit?
I don't think you'd ever see Joe Rohde in a smart suit.
No, I couldn't imagine it.
No.
It would be wrong. Definitely would be wrong.
You said that he was involved in the character creation of Captain EO.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know why Captain EO doesn't exist in the parks anymore. But as a film and the characters within that, I mean, I didn't know that. And they were amazing, you know, when you think about is it the Supreme Leader, Angelica Houston played. It was terrifying. And, you know, the whole premise of that short movie was brilliant, and I loved it, and I would watch it still now, even you know, with the issues. But I think Captain EO was.
You've got to be starting something there, Claire. Haven't you? You know?
I know.
Even that with
Oh my goodness!
I don't think it was in. I think it
Even
left.
when it came back.
I don't think it was there.
It was, but we just like, we never just
Count yourselves.
Oh my
Becca,
goodness!
Yeah.
Becca, that's just
Honestly.
because you. That is just because you're obviously a pretty young thing.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a thriller, though, isn't it, Jill? You know.
Yeah. Oh, just beat it, John. Beat it.
Oh dear! But you know, I think those character development skills. When you look at things that he went on to do in the future, whether that be adventurers looking for a yeti, or all of those. Just where his brain goes, a little bit like Kevin Feige, how does your brain work like that? I don't understand how someone has such a vision and then can create something from that. A lot of us have thoughts and visions and ideas, but the actual ability to do it and to deliver it, that's the incredible bit for me about Joe Rohde.
And then also taking that step of getting the right people in the right place that you can see to achieve your goal, and you have this vision and then how you have to adapt through that process.
He was certainly charismatic. And part of that was his rebelliousness, as we've been talking about. That was part of his charisma, because he didn't really fit with corporate Disney, did he? With the earrings and whatever. So it was just something about him that drew people.
I'm just going to say, it sounds like we're talking about him like he's died. He hasn't died.
Maybe we should go back into.
At the time of recording,
He's still alive.
Joe Rohde is still with us, very much alive. He doesn't officially work for Disney anymore. So,
he's retired.
He's retired. But it sounds like he's expired. He hasn't.
And maybe if you listen to this show in about 20 or 30 years' time and he has died, it might be a repeat that Ben put out. as a reminder and things like that. It could be a show that just lasts forever. There we go. Unbeknownst.
It'll get reposted on the 10th of September every year.
Hey,
For John's birthday.
Yeah.
I just want to.
A tribute to Joe Rohde.
Yeah.
And John. Sorry, Robin, you were about to say something before I butted in.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I've got a friend who is an Imagineer, and he shows me like we'll be walking around Epcot, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I painted that, or I did this, or I helped design this," and I say to him, "It's like that's amazing, that's so incredible," and he's like, "Yeah, but it's such a team. It's a team. It's not me. It's everyone. It's like everyone that's come together to create that." Yeah. And I think that's what Joe Rohde is. Like, even when he's not there to do all of it, he's inspiring everyone. He's obviously learned people and how to get the best from people and how to help them see his vision, which is really hard to do. It's hard enough to see it in your own mind's eye to see it, but to get other people to see what you see and to help build it, I think is such a huge talent.
And it's not just one or two people either. If you say something like Animal Kingdom, that's
it's a huge
thousands
team
of people all coming together to create
just saying
your vision.
Yeah.
Who else does that sound like?
Walt.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the point that you made earlier on. It's like
I think that's
he has those skills.
Yeah. And I think as well, let's not kid ourselves. Actually, I think Animal Kingdom became his main project. And as such, I think when you watch the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, when it's looking at when you needed to know what grassland was going to be within the safari, when you needed to know whether or not something was being completely realistic, he went to the lands to go and to make sure that seeds that were brought back were grown in order for that whole reproduction system of a grassland came from that land. That to me is something that I think we can all kind of learn from. As you need to remain true to yourself, but true to the product that you're actually trying to portray in the eyes of people. And we all. So I know we've talked about this before. Animal Kingdom, when it first opened, a lot of people saw us being, it's a half-day park. We'll just go. It's a bit like going. Don't tell her it's a bit like going to the zoo when you're at home and things. But hey, we'll go and see it because it's a Disney park. I think his involvement in actually taking that to another level, and especially with the production and the sort of the making of a theme park, when you put Expedition Everest in it, was very much sort of a little project that he kind of was given, but then didn't shy away from and actually made it his own. And I really feel that, over the, we're not talking about a great amount of time. It's probably a 20-year difference from coming in as the new lad in 1980, but you're then given that whole ability to create Animal Kingdom. And fair play to him, because where do you start? Where'd you start?
Animal Kingdom opened 18 years after Joe Rohde started with the Disney company. Yeah. They were probably planning and developing that for at least 5 years, maybe longer.
If you think about that, that's just incredible, isn't it? To think that he started and he made such an impact, really, on such a small amount of time. That's incredible. And I think that goes to speak to who he is as a person. That's the amount of impact he had, that they were like, you're the perfect guy for this. We need you.
I wonder how that decision was made.
Oh,
that would have been in that room.
That would have been a board meeting and a half, wouldn't it?
I don't know. If someone brings a tiger into the boardroom, okay,
we're going to do this guy in case he makes it eat us.
How do they get to the point of going, it's all right, Joe, come and talk to us about this thing that you've got an idea about? How do you go, well, this guy's talking about something that could be quite interesting to us? Because I can't, that would have been a build up to that. That wouldn't have just been one conversation. It would have been multiple conversations at different levels of the organisation.
It wouldn't have just been one day. We're just talking about, what do we think we need?
Rock up with a tiger.
Yeah.
Right. This has been a conversation over months, probably maybe a year or two prior to anyone going, come and tell us your plan.
Yeah.
And that for me, that's the interesting bit as to, when we're talking about opened in 1998. So if we go back 5 years, thinking about our decades, we're talking about Eisner, Frank Wells, and their interactions with him, and how he was given permission to go and come up with all this amazing idea for this totally different park that no one else is doing, because it is a zoo, but it's not a zoo.
Yeah.
It's how the whole concept of that. He's got this
build
idea,
on that,
bringing that to the company, and then going, okay, I'm going to spend a lot of time going out to various countries, exploring, learning the cultures, and bringing that back. Like you said earlier, about the authenticity of it, because it's so easy for us to he didn't have to do that. He could have just gone, okay, I'm going to go and find out what we stereotypically would put in this place, because that could easily have been done. Yep. But he took that wouldn't have been what Joe Rohde would have wanted in Animal Kingdom.
Part of me wonders, did he learn that from his work in Epcot?
Maybe so.
Did he learn that from working on Mexico and Norway? They're not Mexican and Norway.
That would make sense.
And even when you look at the Adventurers Club, the characters that would exist in the Adventurers Club all had a backstory. They were all consistent. I know the Adventurers Club is a well-loved phenomenon in Disney history, and there's lots of people who still believe they belong to the Congolese Society. And the not being scared to go deep with the story, I think is, there's probably a point if you're trying to create a story and a backstory and a theming and all of that stuff, you get to a point where you go, okay, that's sufficient. And the bravery to go, it is sufficient, but we can do more. So we're going to do more, and we're going to make it absolutely infallible to the point where the artifacts that are around Tusker House are either original or direct copies from something that somebody has brought from Africa. There's no one's really right. No one's looking at that stuff when they're sitting eating their breakfast, except we do. But generally, you're looking at the characters and the food. So why would you bother to go to that much effort? But the bravery to go, well, we will do anyway, because that's the right thing to do. That's the key.
Going to the place where your project is set is in Disney's DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the company. It's part of who they are. They went all the way to places for Moana, for wherever. They went out and they made it right. And I think Joe obviously learned that from Disney.
Yeah, I guess in the 90s it wasn't as successful. We didn't have Tinternet, so you couldn't just go and Google what do you find in Nairobi. Actually,
you had to go out there.
You had to go there.
There's something that can be said for experiencing it yourself as well, though.
Absolutely.
If you've not experienced that culture, then how are you supposed to go and make a theme park?
Recreate it.
Yeah. Even going back to the early days when Disney sent people out to places like Latin America and so on to do Saludos Amigos and all those, that was very much a learning experience.
So
this is in the tradition. Yeah,
this is really interesting for me, because what we're talking about is not what we can see. It's not the things that are around us. It's not it's how you feel when you're in that environment.
It's that emotion.
How do you recreate a feeling? Or you go and experience it, and you put all those little bits of information together to try and create that. And that is the difference. And that's, I'm thinking about my experience in Animal Kingdom. I love Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
And it tends to be my first park when I go to Disney. And the reason I think it probably is because I feel it when I'm there. It feels different. Like Magic Kingdom, it's amazing. You've got the castle and the Dapper Dans, and that's emotion.
It's magical.
Right. But there's something different at Animal Kingdom that just, I feel completely absorbed by the theming. Yeah, hot, sweaty.
Yeah, but
Immersed. You're
In need of a
immersed.
beverage, Nomad Lounge, I'm looking at you. But
Because it's everywhere. Everywhere you turn in Animal
turn
Kingdom,
a corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
there is
That's it.
theming for whichever land you're in.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is,
Dinoland.
you can't. Okay.
It's
Well,
everywhere.
Well, hang on.
if you imagine
I like
Dino Land across the whole park and sell it on the thing about it being animals, etc. It is you can replicate that. Other places have.
Yeah.
I've got a place close to us in Yorkshire, which goes along the flamingo bit, which it basically is a glorified zoo with big rides and things like that. It's not the same as going to Animal Kingdom. There's a place in Spain, was it Selwood Park on the Costa del Sol? They try to do it. They can't do it because they haven't got the theming. They haven't got the backstory. They haven't got the bigger picture of exactly why what makes Animal Kingdom so different. And even going back to what you were saying, Claire, about getting the whole story together, but to sell it at that meeting and it not being about animals or anything, but being about conservation and about it having the very sort of layered approach to the entire existence of the earth. It kind of, you can see how he wasn't going to get unpicked by the whole thing that becomes controversial in the fact of it's animals that we're keeping in captivity. It's not. It's about keeping animals safe, but also about keeping the world safe. And I think that whole part of the bigger picture is a much cleverer way about Animal Kingdom in order to sustain it forever, rather than it being just that, for want of a better word, either a safari park or a zoo or whatever. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would also mention, going back to Epcot, was if anyone's been in the China Pavilion, there is a thing on the wall there, and I might misquote it, but it's something that really strikes deep at my heart. And it's something to see something once or to experience something once is better than hearing it 100 times. So it's that whole thing about going to Animal Kingdom. You could watch pictures of the safari and things like that, but at least without getting on a plane and going to Africa and putting yourself through that, you can at least go and experience something for within the confines of a trip to Orlando, which just take you to a different place, and that's the very, very clever bit about it. I'm pretty sure I've been in a queue for Everest, and if you don't do the single rider, don't do the fast pass queue, if you go and stand yourself through the whole story, and you would actually question how much of that is authentic, how much of it is actually just there to add to the story. A lot of it, I think, is to add to the story. I'm not going to spoil anything because I certainly don't know. And I think that's the bit where it blurs the lines between a fantasy and reality and a ride that has got the most amazing backstory. And they thought of that. So nobody can ask many questions and question, well, you said this was going to happen. It then becomes part of what everybody goes, and it's that whole thing. You just believe, don't you?
The queue for Everest for me, like Mexico, it's a triumph of Imagineering because it's not based on any single place. Like the Italy Pavilion, you've got all the different parts of Italy. It's not based on any single place as such, but you feel like you are there. You feel like you are in the Himalayas without actually being in a specific town.
And despite the heat of Florida, and that's the biggest thing. It's the biggest trick in the world, isn't it? You're there, you're in a queue that you don't really want to be in. You're not climbing Everest, but hey, by the time you get to the front of that line, the whole immersion is just so amazing. You actually would feel that you were just about to go from base camp to base camp to base one and things like that. You get completely drawn into it. It is just magical. And I think that is, I think that from the whole of this show, I think everybody's just going to get the fact that somebody or somebody else had that absolute genius of mind and of imagination to think of things, as Walt did. And if you want something, within Walt's day, you look back on some of the original park opening rides, and you think, how on earth does somebody actually think that and Carousel of Progress in particular, how do you get that thing to work? And you could probably see him sat in the office and drawing it and making sure it worked. And I'm pretty sure Joe Rohde's probably down the same line, isn't it? He'll sit there and think, well, how can this possibly work? And then go from there. So it's just absolutely incredible.
To tell you a bit of useless information that you never wanted to know.
I love things like that, Robin, because that's the thing. That's the thing that when people listen to this and they come away and they go, do you know something? I learned something today.
I'm 99.9% sure that Joe Rohde brought most of the artifacts back.
Yeah.
That were in that ride queue, right? The backpack, all the artifacts, they were brought back from when he went out there to research it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
right.
Okay,
I didn't make that.
Well, you didn't make that.
Sadly.
No.
You also didn't learn something new. Because you're
listeners might have.
Yeah.
I think the Yeti excrement bit might be pushing it a bit, but hey, we'll get away with it.
Might not be genuine, no.
But it's that type of thing, no, Robin, and that to me blows my mind, because somebody had the foresight and the actual ability to do it, rather than going down to Walmart and saying, "I tell you what, we need all these rucksacks, stuff like."
Buy a load of backpacks.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll put it in the rack. And also when it first opened, and I think they've got a little bit better at this. When it first opened, the prayer flags that were actually on the ride were completely genuine ones taken from base camp. And yes, because of Floridian weather and because of stuff, that is going to disappear over time. They have begun that whole process of every few years they will put the prayer flags back in, and when it does, it becomes a much better ride, because you're in the queue and you're just thinking, this is exactly how Everest actually exists. And as somebody who watches boringly some of the documentaries about climbing Everest, I just look at it and think, yeah, I know which queue I'd rather be. And it's not the one to go up over the ladder on Everest. It's the one to get in the queue to be on the back, either front or the back of the ride in Orlando. It's one of them crazy ones, isn't it?
Tell you what, picturing Joe Rohde going around the world and sourcing all these artifacts makes you realize why they used him as a model for a fictional character in Tokyo. Yeah. Where the Tower of Terror in Tokyo is actually a completely different backstory, and it's based on a member of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers called Harrison Hightower. And if you look at photos, pictures, rather, drawings and so on,
photos
of Harrison Hightower,
he is Joe Rohde.
He's Joe Rohde.
It absolutely is, and Joe Rohde knows that, and he's very happy about it.
What I like is that's to do with the Society and Adventures and Explorers and Adventurers, which links back to the Adventurers.
It's tying it all together.
So it's the Yeah.
It's so clever.
Did anyone here ever go to the Adventurers Club?
I wish.
No.
So I wish I could have.
I was too young. We went to Pleasure Island when one of the first couple of times that we went to Orlando, when that was still in existence. But I would have been 14, 15, something like that. And I remember walking through Pleasure Island during the day, but never going.
Which at that time was probably the best
never
time
ever
of day
go back
to go, Claire. I must have said.
But I wish I wish I could go back in time, jump in my time machine, and just go and experience it, because the people that have had experienced that just talk about how incredible it was and what an atmosphere and all of the incredible theming. And when you look at, there's videos on YouTube and various stuff. You can go and look at them. And it is, crackly footage because it's not anything digital, but it does look really quite special. And I'm surprised that Disney haven't put it back somewhere. I'm looking at you, Club 33 in Animal Kingdom. That would have been the perfect place. But that didn't happen.
You never know. They might bring it to the treasure.
You never know.
It could belong on a cruise ship.
That would be amazing.
That would,
that would fit.
I went on one trip where I was old enough to go to Pleasure Island, and in fact, we went. It was a friend and me. We went, and Pleasure Island closed like 2 months later. So we were literally right at the end.
Wasn't your fault, was it?
And I regret so deeply not going. Didn't really know what it was, and me and a friend didn't really know much. There was this huge long line outside of a bar, and we were like,
nah,
there's plenty of bars here. We don't need to queue. Now I know if there's a long queue, there's a reason.
It's such a shame.
Instead, we went to a bar with a revolving dance floor.
Lit up.
That's pretty cool.
There you go.
Very nice, but not the Adventure Club.
I think there's
I'm interested
was a point of Pleasure Island, though.
So can I ask everyone a question about Animal Kingdom and theming? Which is, because most of it we can say is underpinned by Joe Rohde, which is your favourite attraction or themed area and why?
I'll go first.
Sorry, just to throw that in.
I'll go first, and we haven't even spoken about this yet.
Yeah,
no, I know.
I'm the same, Ben.
I know
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, of course.
Pizza
It's going to
Safari,
be.
you say?
Yeah, that's the one.
Pizza Safari. Highlight.
If you go to Pizza Safari, you just need to go left.
On the wall.
You need to go left, and it.
Hang on. Has anyone actually seen the wall in there that's got like what looks like
I have
giant?
never been in it.
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah.
I will sort you out a photo, Claire.
Thank you very
The
much.
giant stone on the wall.
I thought you were going to say you'll sort me out having to go in there. I'm like,
On your next trip, you're going to Pizza Safari.
no.
Oh, I have been in there.
Nah. Keep walking.
No, the pizza's not
Keep
good.
walking.
They have good speciality cakes, though.
They do.
Don't mention speciality.
Get those
Don't
cakes
mention
elsewhere.
speciality cakes to Claire. Goodness. That's just it. If you know,
whole
you
other
know.
story.
And I
If you
think
know, you know.
my phone's blowing up.
I
at the
think
minute.
most of you
People
know.
ain't. Yeah, so we'll leave that bit about speciality cakes there. But hey, yeah, go on, Ben. You go. Take us to the place. I think that is the only thing I can say.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about this yet, but one of the most impressive areas, I think, of Animal Kingdom is Pandora, World of Avatar. There is just something special about that place, whether it be an incredible attraction, a flight of passage. But for me, it's when you're in the park at night and there's bioluminescence, it just creates a different atmosphere. And for something that a film franchise that a lot of people don't either understand because there's not been many films out about it, or they were out such a long time ago. But the whole land, I think, in development took slightly less than Tron to put together. But it was very, very impressive. Yeah. But yeah, I think World of Avatar would be my choice, Claire.
Anyone else want to share?
Same place, same place for me. I've got to say, as something to define your career by, if you go from what we've already spoken about, if you go from the fact that, I think our love of Expedition Everest is one thing, and to have that to an nth degree of theming, backstory, to go and create Pandora at the level of which it actually is, given the fact that you moved the whole of a Lion King pavilion and the meet and greet back on the trails and things like that. The creation of that whole area, from the minute you walk over the bridge, the fact that the sound, the feel, you're talking about everything. You're talking about you're not just walking into a different land. Everything changes the minute you walk across that bridge. And once you become part of it, it completely absorbs you and completely leaves you kind of. I'm every single sense that you have is taken to the absolute maximum, because your eyes are set with, like Ben mentioned about the bioluminescence. But whilst that's going on, your ears are getting stuff full of sounds of banshees flying within the undergrowth, and it just is something that is, I think when Disney were faced with a challenge at Harry Potter that came from up the road, you wondered how you could actually go and you could create something that really would bring crowds into a theme park. This is actually taken theme park theming to a level at which nobody thought was possible.
Yeah.
With the ride, if you talk about the ride itself and actually having Flight of Passage as your centerpiece, I'll leave the other one because that in itself is it should be a lot longer, and I'm not gonna go on my usual rant about it. However,
I love it.
Yeah, I know, but it should be longer, and it should be because the actual.
I mean, it would be better if it was longer, but I love
Robin,
it. I think it's
the detail there.
Detail.
As you,
incredible.
As you got, you're in your little boat, and you've got like frogs or lily pads being just. You can see the underside of the frog. That to me is exactly how.
And the lily pad moving while it jumps.
Yeah. Just it
amazing,
is
and the
perfection.
most incredible animatronic.
Yeah, it is though, Ben, and I think, and that, I know in recent months there's been a few sort of refurb things, and it's been back for a few days, and it's gone back again, and actually when it's not there, the place as a whole is missing. You need. Yeah. It needs the shaman needs to be there because it's such a huge part of the ride. I know we keep going on about this, but even you go at Flight of Passage, don't go the fast pass line, because if you do Lightning Lane, you miss out on the detail and you miss out on some of the story from the film. Not just this film, but probably from the films that are coming up. That's the thing. We're into that bit where when this is going to be the influence for film 3, 4, and 5 for Avatar. And you're thinking, this is just magical.
I've got a confession though. I'm not waiting 2 hours.
I know.
I'm going in that lightning.
Go last thing at night.
I know.
First thing in the morning for rope drop.
First thing in the morning for rope drop. Have you met me, Ben?
No, get in the queue about half an hour before the park closes.
Yeah.
Or even 5 minutes before park closes.
Oh, okay.
It'll be about a 90-minute wait, half an hour. About an hour.
I've seen it once.
90 minutes.
I have seen it once, but I've never actually ridden it without
a lightning lane. It actually there is something different about it, and I won't give it all away. Claire was in a very similar position where I think from the very outset of this, it was the first time I said this, Claire had the same admission. So it is the type of thing that you actually just go and just absorb the actual imagination.
I've done the queue once. Yeah. I have done the queue once.
Yeah.
Save you $12.
Only because I kept nagging you, Claire. That's exactly
right. They're used to it now.
I did get to go down the queue line once, and it was when the ride wasn't open. So I got to go and look at the queue line, but obviously it was a long time.
Wow. Get into the queue 5 to 10 minutes before the park closes, because while you might still have to wait
half an hour,
an hour, 90 minutes, you're not
an hour.
You're not going to be losing an hour of park time because the park is closed.
Handy hint.
Handy
hints and tips there, Becca. I must admit, I like that.
An hour with other people.
I'm going for the Jingle Jungle Jamming Jungle Parade because, yes, it wasn't designed as part of the kingdom, but it just so fitted so well. It felt like it was designed as part of the kingdom.
Is that also specifically the Christmas one or either?
Yeah.
The Christmas one is the Jungle Parade.
It's the only one that we saw.
Yeah, that's the jingle one.
Yeah.
I think
The other one's
but it is
Jamming Jungle Parade.
Yeah.
It is, but the Jingle Parade was the jamming parade just tarted up for Christmas. It was basically the same parade.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's a tribute to how good Animal Kingdom was that the parade fitted it so perfectly.
It's incredible to think of sort of, like we've shown about before, about parades, that both Epcot and Animal Kingdom used to have a parade, and also Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
But now they don't.
No.
We just got one half a parade.
Yeah.
In Magic
But
Kingdom.
we're not going there because that's not about Joe Rohde.
I think for me, it's the safari. It's Kilimanjaro Safari that stands out. I think because you walk around the park and you see all these areas of the park, and that's lovely, and there's lots of things to see. And then you get in your vehicle and you take off, and in between being bounced around, you basically realize how much more there is that you can't see unless you're on the safari. And the clever way that they encourage the animals to get where you can see them, they'll put, warm spots out, and they'll put salt licks out and so on to encourage the animals to go where you're quite handily going past in your Jeep with your camera out. And there's always, yes, you get to see a lot of backsides of animals. It's the backside of zebras, it's the eighth wonder of Animal Kingdom. But it is something that you wouldn't expect to be in the park when you first walk in. You don't realize how much more there is. There's more to see than has ever been seen.
Yeah.
More to do than can ever be done.
Yeah.
There you go.
Also, you don't see the barriers. The barriers between sections are very well done. It feels like one open plane.
Theming is just incredible to keep them.
Yeah. How well, it's so well done.
Yeah.
You feel like people say, I don't like animals in captivity, but I don't mind Animal Kingdom because they've got so far to roam and it's such a big area. Really, it's not quite true. But it gives you that illusion that it's a huge space. It is a very big space, but they hide the sort of the separation as part of what you're looking at. I think that's really special.
And
really special.
What I love is the Disney Plus series behind Animal Kingdom, where you see just the day-to-day operations. And if you get a chance to do one of the tours as well, whether it be Wild Africa Trek or Caring for Giants, you get that to see a little bit behind the curtain of how it is run.
So in terms of theming,
I was going to say, I haven't told you mine, Claire.
There you go.
I haven't given mine either. Oh, and you go first, Robin. If you steal mine, I'm gonna make sure Ben edits it out.
Well, I don't know if you class it as an area, but the Tree of Life.
Yeah, that was going to be mine.
Oh, wow.
Just incredible. Obviously, we've talked about Pandora. It's so immersive. We've talked about different rides, different things that add to it.
Yeah.
But the pinnacle, the one thing in your head, you go, Animal Kingdom, massive tree. It's the animals, the amount of animals and the time that's gone into making them. You can spend time just walking around, going underneath and seeing how many animals you can spot. Yeah. I don't know how many there are. I'm sure someone does.
An awful lot.
An awful lot. You'll be there a long time. And it's just incredible. Right. The detailing is just mind-blowing to me.
It's different from every angle as well.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That tree is a photographer's paradise.
Oh, isn't it just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
so? Go on, Claire. Tell us yours.
There are over 300 animals on the Tree of Life. I've just looked it up.
Wow.
So I'm going to see all of those areas, and I'm going to raise you somewhere that I think is underrated in terms of theming, story, and execution.
Nomad Lounge.
The car park.
That's my second choice.
I will say the story behind Tiffin's is quite interesting. I'm going to raise you the Maharaja Jungle Trek.
Oh,
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be my second
Okay.
choice.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's definitely in my
Which-
top 5.
For me, is
Yeah.
a must
Yeah.
do every single time I go to Animal Kingdom. Often because I'm trying to avoid Carly River Rapids, and I send everyone else on that, and then I go. But the theming of that area, and
Yeah.
if you don't know the story behind it, so the area was colonialized by the British Empire as a hunting ground, and then the Maharaja took it back and created it into a conservation area. That's the story that if you follow it through, you can see all the paintings and the murals on the walls, which explain that story. And it's explained why it goes from quite small exhibits to these big, vast areas where the tigers are. The just blows my mind in terms of design and the creation of those hidden corners, things that you would never normally look at, whether they be plaques on the wall or bits of concrete on the floor. You know what I love the concrete. And I just find it such an incredibly cleverly themed area, and the consistent story all the way through that. And people go past, they don't even know it's there. They go to Carly, or they go, they might watch the Howler Monkeys for 10 minutes and then go on Carly, and they miss this amazing thing at that corner of the park because you've got to go past the wet toilets and the lockers and all of that stuff.
Is it, Claire, though, isn't the fact that it's a walk? But we've been
right. Who wants a little walk through?
But we've been walking already. Why do we want to go for a walkthrough? And people, it just doesn't sell itself. And that's what makes it so good, because it's just the understated part of the park that if you miss it, then when you get home, someone's going to say, did you see this bit? And it's like, no. But
when you're in the area, we got the
little train. And no, it's
I love the area of the birds.
I walked through that quickly.
Yeah.
So the area of the birds, if you look, there's a sarcophagus. There's like almost like a mausoleum in there. There's just these amazing things that you don't look at because you're looking at the bird with the funny haircut and the feathers that are all different colours and all.
That's not what I'm looking at. I'm trying not to get pooped on.
Right?
Exactly.
The Disney poop.
You failed.
I failed.
And you are. But if I probably take about an hour to walk around that trail every single time, and I make no apologies for it.
I think some people do it to tick it off. So people go, I'll walk through it.
Then they've missed the point.
Yeah.
And the theming for that particular trail compared to Gorilla Falls is just so different.
If you're not stopping to take a million photos along the trail,
take it anyway. Have a seat and just enjoy the theming around you. I cannot recommend it enough. And it's that moment of it's almost like take a seat and let the theming come to you rather than let the magic come to you. It's just so clever. The sounds, the sight, smells.
You just have to
pause and just...
I will skip the bats usually.
So I can spend 20-25 minutes at the bats on their own.
Yeah,
they are my favourite animal in all of Animal Kingdom.
And it's just
it's
extra special when there's tigers.
I can spend about that long looking at watching the gorillas. So
no,
yeah,
we'll go to Howlets for that.
I'm
but the bats are
I've got
amazing.
one of them at home already.
You talk about Simon. That's a bit
Terry. Terry gorilla.
But so Maharaja Jungle Trek. And I thought maybe it changed its name. It isn't. It's Gorilla Falls that's changed it. Or was it Ananda?
Yeah.
Has it always been Maharaja? Or is it Anandapur?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think
It's always been
It's always been Maharaja since we've been going.
same.
Since
That's how I've always known it.
It is amazing.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So
Cool. Fabulous.
Have you missed anyone out?
Mum's Tree Life as well.
Becca, did you have a point in there?
Well, Robin stole mine. It was Tree of Life.
That's
Well,
fine.
it's very closely by Nomad Lounge, so
Okay.
At least it wasn't. It's tough to be a
You've got
bug.
good taste.
never
Becca.
it's tough to be about. That may change after it had its retheme, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is when it's had its retheme, do you think more people will actually spend time looking at the Tree of Life?
I hope so.
Because the queue for Tough to be a Bug is a great place to be.
It is.
The details. Yeah.
It's cool as well because it's shaded most of it.
Yeah.
Can I just bring us a little bit back more Joe Rohde rather than Animal Kingdom?
Yes.
Because we know that's the most amazing thing that with him in Florida. But I think we forget as well that whilst he was doing all this other stuff, he was actually in charge of actually designing a hotel area, a resort. I can't think of the best way to describe it. It's not the hotel, it's actually a resort, but actually in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But he was chosen because actually, did he live on Hawaii or was he born there? Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
he grew up in Hawaii.
So in that whole thing of, if you're going to pay homage to a place, who better to get in to do the work for you is someone who actually understands exactly what the locals do and think and things like that. It's just like, no brainer, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, the cultural recognition that happened during the building of Aulani. And I think that it is, Robin, you've obviously been there a few times. And it's embraced by the culture of Hawaii, isn't it? In terms of recognition that it is authentic, it is true. It's
authentic without being caricature.
Yeah.
Like, if you think in your head, oh, Hawaii, it must be like the Polynesian. No, the Polynesian is almost like a caricature of Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii now, the culture is like Aulani. It's paid tribute to the past of Hawaii, Hawaii's past, while also bringing into what Hawaii is now. And it's a very special place. It really is. It's a special place. I mean, Disney haven't got many resorts outside of Disney parks.
Yeah.
And there's a clear reason why Aulani is so popular. There's no Disney park though. There's no theme park. Why is Aulani popular? Why do people go so much? And it's because the detail and the culture, the representation of Hawaii there, I think.
It's the credibility in terms of what was designed and how it was executed are so many steps above other
It's just not just any resort. It's not just a resort. Next door, they've got a Four Seasons. I'm sure it's a Four Seasons.
Yeah.
There's just a Four Seasons in Hawaii. It isn't trying to pay homage to Hawaii. It's not trying to, whereas Aulani really does try and bring in the culture into everything it's doing, into the little details in the rooms, in the details of the hallways, the carpets, everything has got a reason.
Am I right in thinking there's a documentary about Aulani on Disney Plus as well? I've definitely watched something.
I think
it talks about.
I think you're right.
I've definitely watched something where it talks about the male side and the female side.
Yeah.
And
I haven't seen it. I'll have to give it a go.
See if I can find it.
I'll try and find it. We'll put it in the show notes for the show as well. But that's what sets that place apart from the likes of Hilton Head and also from Vero Beach as well.
Yeah.
And both of which are absolutely brilliantly Disney themed places. But once you get beyond the sort of the hidden Mickey trail and the hidden, the Mickeys on the fence post and things like that, Aulani goes into absolute overdrive. And that to me is the difference between what being. I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying this. You go from Disney theming into Joe Rohde theming, and the difference is absolutely clear. And I think that is the most perfect way I can say it. It is on a different level, and I'm just very aware. I was very controversial at the very end of our last show, right? So I'm going to be equally controversial now at the end of this show.
What are you putting into Room 101, John?
No, it's not that. I actually, how my question is, and it goes to, I don't think it's answerable unless we had Joe Rohde with us on the show. But how on earth, we get someone from the board at Disney. How can you lose such a valuable asset when you've got somebody that as part of as part of your team? How do you actually, you don't allow them to retire. You don't allow you make them CEO of the whole company.
Indispensable.
Yeah, you make them CEO of the whole company.
I'm not sure how much retiring he's actually done.
Exactly.
No, he seems to be doing a lot of stuff, even though
Very busy for a retired man.
He retired in 2021, and just before that, he started on Lookout K here at Lighthouse Point. Lighthouse Point doesn't open until this year.
Yeah.
So how much more involvement?
So how much
I don't
was
know.
he involved after his retirement? Is he having his proper retirement once?
Maybe he left everyone with his vision.
I
Put the right people in the right place to
and then leave.
I just think it's shocking because I think when we talk about, and I know this goes into politics of where the company are as a whole, but I spoke earlier about being a maverick, and actually in this time and this age, being a maverick, and actually if you had somebody alongside you who could do the maths part of it, you would be able to provide so much of a spark into that so-called blue sky thinking that we keep being told about, but with somebody who actually knows what colour the sky actually really needs to be. And that for me is such a big thing where we're left with accountants on one side, we're left with people who've got big ideas, but we're left with a lot of people. And hopefully over the course of the next few months, we'll be able to talk about other people who have done what Joe Rohde has done across many, many decades of Disney history. People who have got the job done when it needed doing. And I think at the moment, there's a real void within the company. And that to me is such a sad thing because Joe Rohde could have been a true leader. And he probably didn't do the corporate stuff the way that Disney would like, but actually what he would have provided would have been, could have been so exciting moving forward from such a step back over the past few years of pandemic, etc. He could have been that one who actually led them to somewhere new. Who knows? But that's my opinion. But I just thought I'd chuck it in there because it actually, for the whole of the show, I feel really passionately about this because we're left with like faceless people in charge of the company, and as much as as much as there are people in charge who we say, we like, etc. Josh D'Amaro will look at you. They're not performing, and they're not actually getting the job done in the way that you would have hoped. They don't have that real empathy and understanding of where Walt.
I don't think we can have another D23 with more blue sky thinking without.
Good grief! Could you imagine
what we're saying?
What we did is Joe Rohde to appear on stage at D23 and say, "I'm back."
All we want is him to come back to help the redesign of Animal Kingdom because we don't really want anybody else to be touching that park.
Yeah.
No. I agree.
Yeah, what you said, John. About the creativity next to the person who knows the maths and the figures. We're going right back to Walt and Roy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's it seems to be
lost.
It's
those two together that created Disney, really.
Yeah.
That said, though, I'm sure there's a whole generation of people who worked under Joe Rohde and with him and alongside him and have been influenced by him. I'm sure that in years to come, we will see them stepping up and influencing the future. And let's hope we do.
I think you're right.
Yeah. 40 years of working for the Walt Disney Company. He's got 40 years of people that he's inspired and will keep on inspiring every time they set foot in Alani or Pandora or Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that word "inspire" is the correct one, because actually, his whole mantra is, if you go to the parks, if you've never actually dug that little bit deeper, the next time, and you've listened to this, the next time you go to the parks, you will see the complete stamp of Joe Rohde upon Animal Kingdom, but on so many different things. And hopefully in the coming months, we'll be able to provide that inspiration that has existed within the Disney Corporation, where they have gone and done the things that you thought were completely unimaginable and made them a reality. And that's what excites me about this. As a show, I actually feel as if we've actually done Joe Rohde sort of true justice. I was really worried that we wouldn't be able to actually do that, but we've still got a bucket load of stuff that we could probably even include on a Wednesday show on a Wafflers Wednesday. But yeah, I just feel that the world needs more Joe Rohdes and less accountants. I think it's probably the best way of looking at it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Certainly the Walt Disney World, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the waffle we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Great British Mickey Waffle. Now go out there and explore the Disney magic Joe Rohde has helped to create, and maybe even channel your inner Imagineer. If you've missed any of our previous shows, don't worry, you can catch up by downloading them from your podcast app of choice or watching them on our YouTube channel. We also have our live Wafflers Wednesday shows on YouTube every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. GMT. So be sure to join us for even more waffle. If you want to stay up to date on all the things that we're doing, be sure to follow us on social media at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. You can also email us at waffleon@gbmickeywaffle.com with any comments, questions or ideas for future episodes. We love hearing from all of you and appreciate your support. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on your podcast app. And don't forget to share the show with your friends. Thank you again, and there's just one thing left to say. Never stop dreaming. The world needs more dreamers.